Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. I talk about truck and tractor pulling all the time, but today I'm going to talk about something very special to me, and that is veterans and veteran happiness. I'm a veteran. I served from 92 to 2000 in the National Guard, but I'm not a badass like my buddy Danny here. Danny's also a fellow loan officer with me, and I got to witness the power of veterans after they're retired get into a room together and just talk about life and talk about what they're going to do for the day. And for me, that's pretty simple. I keep super busy, but when you've gone from like crazy, like protecting our country, doing stuff that they don't even talk about on the news, to now you're just sitting at home, your life goes from like scoring a touchdown every play to holy crap, this is boring. So what Danny has showed me is with collaboration and working together. And once a veteran is out of the military and out of that daily life in what we call normal, it's not normal for them because they're so used to being amped up and be ready to go at a moment's notice and shot anywhere in the world. Right, Danny? So when I sat down with you and Mike and Timmy that day and just saw that, and then when you took me out to the horse ranch in Savanna, I was like, I get it. And this is going to be special to me. And you and I are going to hammer this for $10, Danny. You can buy a bale of hay, right? I mean, let's talk about this a little bit. And everybody, the QR code is on the screen. Take your phone, scan the QR code. Danny and I checked it before we went live, and just buy a bale of hay. But I'm also going to put it in the links as well. So Danny, welcome to our effort today. It was so good to see you last week or 2 weeks ago now and go out to the horse ranch. I got to see Olaf, your big white horse. I'll bring some pictures up of them while you're talking, but okay. Welcome everybody. But please, I just ask, share this with friends, family, fellow veterans. If you have anybody in your life that's in the military, $10. That's all Danny and I are asking. $10. There are other things on there. You can do bigger dollar amounts. Obviously, if you want to, or you can buy 100 bales of hay, whatever you want to do. But for $10, it buys a bale of hay. And can you talk about the project, Danny? And if you want me to bring up the website or share anything on the screen, just let me know, okay?
Sure. So, like you said, I'm Danny Archer. So I'm in Savannah, Georgia. Retired after 27 years in the military. And transitioning is difficult. Like you said, getting off of the train and your world goes to a drastic slow. My wife had found a horse program here in Savannah that she rode it when she was smaller, and she started to volunteer at. And I was starting the transition process through a medical retirement, and found, honestly, it was all because of a stupid water hose, right? And it got all, the girls were like, reeling it in, and it got outside, and I was in flip flops, and honestly, like, I'm a retired helicopter pilot, my back's all jacked up, so the thought of horses honestly makes me want to vomit. But I got out, and I'm like, my compulsions were kicking in. I'm like, move, and I like fix the hose, and I have flip flops on, and my feet get all muddy, and I'm like, you know what? Next, I'm going to wear different shoes. So that kind of progressed to me starting to help out around the place and do like the sweat work kind of stuff, just kind of getting some of the hate and pain and anxiousness and whatever else that's going out. And eventually I got into a stall, and I was helping feed, and I locked eyes with one of the big horses, and kind of had this like weird, crazy, powerful moment. And from that, I had never really talked to the lady, Peggy Noon, who runs the Pegasus Riding Academy. And, she didn't know I was a veteran, didn't know anything about me. And I asked her, hey, have you ever considered, I told her what kind of happened, and she started to explain some of the crazy avatar science of like people and like the interactions and serotonin, and I don't know. I was like, what? Anyways, I asked her, I'm like, have you ever considered having a veterans program? And she was like, I had one pre-COVID, and then it died, and she didn't have a veteran, so it kind of lost. And I was like, well, that's weird. Like, I'm a veteran, and I know a gazillion people. She's like, what, really? And so from that conversation, it was literally like the universe was kind of shoving us in this direction. If I was going to, and I say this because like, if I was going to have 3 conversations with somebody thereafter, at least one of them was somebody that was looking for an equine or an equine therapy program. Somebody was looking for some sort of veteran care program. Like it was the craziest thing. And we would have these conversations like, oh my gosh, would you believe it happened again? And she would always talk about like, hey, whenever you're on the right path, the universe is just going to shove you and things are just going to happen. And from that, you know what, 2 months later, we kind of had our first gathering, and we started this process of what became, which is now called the Equine Valor Project. So, you know, look, one of the challenges with programs like this is it is a nonprofit, so there's no money that steadily comes in, right? So, you know, one of the things that I want to do is I would love to be able to pay for a year's worth of hay for the place. Why, like all this, you know, like, look, PTSD and transitioning issues and all that stuff is going to be real for everyone. So that's Olaf. He's actually a retired mounted police horse from Savanna here. So we got.
And I've seen Olaf in person, and this horse is amazing. This horse is huge. So
he's gigantor. He's like riding a T-Rex.
Yep.
And so one of the battles, and I'll say this is kind of where you know, this gets really interesting, is once we kind of started down this process, you know, and more people were introduced to it, you know, look, is a horse going to fix like 20 years of war? I mean, no, it's not. But is it going to help? Yeah, I think it's much like fighting aging. Like it's going to be a constant struggle. You need to have coping mechanisms. If you ignore it, you know, things just start to pile up on you, and you get, you get buried by emotion and chaos, right? So the Pegasus Riding Academy, the facilities here in Savannah, Georgia, honestly, the best way I can describe it, and I know that I tested you on this, it's like going through the gate of Narnia. It was
legit. Like, I had no idea. Like, we drove through Savannah and all your pretty spots, Spanish moss that's full of chiggers, I found out. It looks good in the trees, everybody. But Dan, I got to drive by the Savannah Bananas stadium. I thought that was pretty cool because I follow them on TikTok. And we hang a left, and it's like, boom. How many acres is it?
So it's, I don't want to quote it. I know that it's anywhere from like 85 to 200. It's a 50-year lease that she's on. We're trying to grow the program larger so that we can eventually have an immersion program. So guys can come from out of town or be in town and go and actually stay on the property, you know, and live Yellowstone and get therapy once or twice with horses and working around the farm. Honestly, working around the farm is probably one of the most therapeutic things that you can do, because I tell people whenever they get out to the farm, I'm like, leave your bullshit at the gate, come inside, unplug, and just let it, just enjoy. And everybody that comes in and experiences that is just blown away. And I know that we were out there for what, maybe less than an hour or something like that.
I had to get to the airport, but yeah.
But the craziest thing is that you're essentially just off the fringe of downtown Savannah.
Yep. And
the place is completely surrounded by trees. And after 10 minutes, you forget that you're in Savannah. Like, you're on a horse farm.
Once we walked down that path, Danny, back there, I don't know, we walked through the woods, and you talked about you're going to hopefully get some little tiny homes in there for people to stay out there, some veterans, and then kind of walked out into that clearing. That was pretty wild. And it was like, literally downtown Savannah is a couple miles away, or not downtown, but Savannah, which is obviously a big city. Again, if you're just joining our live, this is Danny Archer. He's a fellow USA loan officer with myself. He's also a veteran. I'm a veteran. And Danny, I do say it all the time. I wasn't a badass. The only time I threw a grenade was at basic training. You and the 160th and the 175 and the Chinooks and the Black Hawk guys, it's a different world that you guys lived in. And thank you again. I mean, truly thank you for your service, because the freedoms we have today are because of stuff that you did 10, 15, 20 years ago, Danny. And I can't thank you and Mike and Timmy and everybody I've met enough. But it takes a lot for me to kind of not talk. I think you know that really well. But to watch you guys sit in the office that morning and just talk about the transition time, I can't imagine going from, we're going to go on a mission, we might die, we have to work together, and now we're back in regular society. And that's where you've talked about enough, just having some friends to talk to. And I don't want to get all emotional and stuff, but Danny, just getting you guys together is huge. But then, like you said, go out with a purpose and hang out at the farm or feed the horses. And for $10, and that's what got me excited, Danny, right away, is there isn't one person watching this video that doesn't have $10 they could give to this, to buy a bale of hay. And to know that, like, people know me. If they're watching this video, Danny, they're our friends, or they know of who we are. And they know that we're not going to take this $10 and go buy a case of Busch Light. You know what I mean? We might actually, that might be good therapy too, but that's a different kind of therapy, which can get even worse. But I'm not trying to be funny, but for $10, people buy a bale of hay. I'm gonna buy 50 bales of hay today, Danny, through Beer Money Pulling Team. No, I love you. I love what you're doing. I'm proud to. I want to be part of it, and I want to get people out of it. I'm going to use my social media to hopefully, what does it cost? What does it cost a month for hay for the farm? Do you remember? You told me a number.
Sure. No, so it's $1,500 a month or less. So ideally, what I would
150 people a month, each month to do $10, we're good to go, right?
That's right. And so, and I know we're on Facebook Live or whatever right now, but ideally, what I would love to be able to do is present them with a check at Pegasus, just to say thank you. Trying not to get emotional, but it's important.
No, it is, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, until I've always knew it was hard for you guys. I really did. And I say you guys because I don't know how else to say it. My English sucks. But to really watch you and Danny and Tim and Mike sit that day and just talk just about like transitioning, because, Mike's transition out medical, Timmy's on his way out, and the high level missions and stuff that you guys were on. I mean, you can't talk about it. Now I know why you guys were never on social media. You're hanging out with Rangers and Delta Force and SEALs and all crazy stuff. And when Mike took me out to the hangar and I got to see the Chinooks and the Black Hawks, that's when I was like, this is the stuff that they don't show on the news, the stuff that you guys did. And one of the craziest things you said to me, and we've been friends now for a while, was like, 4 days ago, I was in Afghanistan, and I'm not going to talk about what's happening in Afghanistan, but then 4 days later, I'm at my kid's parent-teacher conference. And I was like, oh my God, I can't imagine that. And like when you told me, Danny, and I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it anyway because we're friends, you went on every mission knowing you could die, or that there are people shooting at you with RPGs and rifles. And like you said, that you could hear the ting, 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 ting on your helicopter as you're flying away. And then you get back, and what did you say? The first thing you do is you check for bullet holes, like where you'd have your cigarette and you'd kind of just go off to the side. I'm sorry, I don't know if you wanted me to get into all this, but for $10, you can help people like Danny and Danny do something. And Danny wants to do this for his fellow veterans and Savanna. And then, I'm sure there's a lot of these all over the country, Danny. I don't know. I mean, you've really opened up this world to me, but I don't know. I'm just babbling. Sorry, I'll shut up. Donate your $10, people, please.
So I think this is what happens. I think there's a ton of people out there that are trying to do something because they've been affected personally. And I feel like everybody's just struggling to try to just keep their head above water once they become operational, and then the marketing piece of trying to get money in. It's just like for us, if you get a mortgage and like you get a couple of loans in, and then you're working the files, and then the next month, because you're not marketing like the dips. One of my biggest goals for this whole thing is to create like a collaborative partnership network of nonprofits across the United States, so that as a veteran relocates, separates from the military, whatever, he should be able to go onto a site and see what genre veteran care options are there in his local area, so he can get involved. And for every veteran that's potentially watching this or might see a cut from it, I'm going to tell you this: whether you like it or not, you have a ticket on the most powerful emotional roller coaster that you'll ever ride. And you're going to plummet towards the ground off of that big thing like this. And this is how it plays out. Like, you either have this miraculous near miss, but you are plummeting towards the ground because for the first time in your life, you've been functioning for so long at this high level that every effort that you ever did was for the collective like health and well-being of your team as you go and you did the nation's work. And then now all of a sudden you break from the formation. You don't have people to your left or to your right. You don't have a common purpose, and you're trying to integrate with a society that honestly, like just functioned as it should. But it just went along as you're just going and coming back. I mean, that was your parent teacher conference, like seriously, it was the craziest thing, because like you would go and you would say your goodbyes, and then and you would turn and you'd walk towards like the C-17 or whatever your mode of transport was going to be to get over to theater. And you would get you get emotional because you didn't know, like, in all reality, that's might be the last one. And you get a little like weepy, or not weepy, but you're internally emotional. And then as soon as you step foot on the plane, you got to turn another face on, and now you're ready to get after it. And and then you go from that, you go from a target, and then you rush to make customs to get on your bird, and head back to the house. And luckily for us, our transports would land right at the ramp, and you would walk off, and then there's your family, you get your bags, you're home. And then honestly, that was exactly right. That happened to me. I remember sitting in the parent teacher conference with my wife, and she's looking at me, she's like, "Why are you being so weird?" I was like, I was just getting shot at 2 days ago. Like, this is crazy.
Amy, I think of that every single day. And I know you and I work together and we joke around all the time. If you ever hang out with Danny and I, you're not going to get a word in edgewise, and there's a ton of sarcasm. But I'm also I'm getting goosebumps talking about it right now. That when you said that, Danny, I think about that every single day. And when I came down to Savanna and I was able to do this and to go to the horse park with you, and then just be around you and Mike and Timmy, and we obviously a bunch of other veterans as well, I can't imagine. I mean, I really, for the first time, was like, wow, my crazy life isn't that crazy. You know what I mean? And for a veteran to stay busy, I think that's the most important part, Danny. To stay busy, to keep your mind on something else, so you're not thinking of the past, if you will. And that's PTSD. And that's real. It's a really, really thing. And when I hear you talk to the guys about, you may feel good right now, but in a couple months, if you've had a couple of days by yourself, or you're not busy or whatever, that's when you come crashing down. And that's what we got to prevent. Ultimately, we don't need veterans hurting themselves or committing suicide. And that's I just might as well just come on and say it. And that's what this is all about. If we can help people do this. And that's why I guess I got excited, Danny, when you came up with this bale of hay thing. And I know you got bigger plans with this, and I know it will grow with your passion and connection. And we're going to use social media to blow it up. I mean, we really are. And I'm excited to be and this is kind of our first launch of doing this together. I know you have some other partners helping you as well. But the power of social media, people talk all the time how bad social media is, right, Danny? Well, this is one of the times it's going to be good, because for $10, like I said, you can to go out and buy a bale of hay to feed the horses, and then to do a lot more stuff with it like that. I'm pretty jacked, really, really, because I'm going to share this obviously with all the loan officers. Again, if you're just jumping on, this is Danny with his horse Olaf. And this horse didn't go for glue, right? You adopted this horse, right, Danny? So.
That's right. We paid a little homing fee for him, but yeah, we gave him much like all the veterans, and I'll use this term purpose, right? So one of the biggest challenges that most people have is this the loss of purpose is real, because everything that you did, you stood for, and you wore the uniform and you did whatever you needed to do, and then that's lost, and that can't be replaced by putting on a suit and tie and going and try to act like a normal person, because guess what? Those people can't relate to anything that you do. And I'll tell you, the most horrible thing to experience as a veteran is when somebody was like, "Oh man, what was it like?" And you're like, "Oh, you want to hear a story?" And they're like, "Yeah." And then you start talking to them, and like, if I'm telling a story, like mentally, I go right back to that immediate and I can see it like a movie in my head. I can everything, and I'm reliving that, and I'm telling the story, and you can see like people just like they just can't comprehend it. They're and their eyes just kind of roll back, and then they just like, oh. And I say this like comically, but it is. They're like, oh, did you see that dog? And they make like a crazy change of topic or whatever, and then you just feel, I don't know, exposed, violated. And I'm like, I'm never doing that again. So one of the things that kind of helped me during this process, there was a guy, I'm going to drop his name, Kyle Lawrence Maddox, from Mad Law Media. He's getting a name drop. He wanted to do a project. And I won't get in all to the nitty and gritty, but he lost a family member to PTSD in 2010, and he didn't want to do something about that family member. So he heard about a story with me and another guy, Ryan Davis. Like, obviously, there's a whole lot more people that are involved in that whole scenario, but we connected prior to my retirement. He wanted to do a little video, and so he came out, and I was pretty protective about it. And honestly, I didn't have any idea what it was going to be like. Never talked on camera, and what he was able to produce, no script, no nothing. We showed up, we shot in 3 hours, and honestly, it's like the Discovery Channel quality. It's amazing. And so, you know, yeah, I'm a mortgage guy now, and people are like, wow, you're the vulture of society. I'm like, no, actually, I do this because I am literally trying to protect people, because it is. If you're going into try to buy a house and you don't know what, and I'm going to tangent, and I apologize, but this is a great segues, because, you know, if you're going with somebody that potentially doesn't have your complete back, you know, you might as well walk into a vampire bar with a muscle shirt on. You know, because, you know, nobody knows how to buy a house. Like, unless you've bought 9 houses, even then you probably don't know everything. You know, and anyways, the whole point is like, this is where like my worlds really started to kind of intertwine, is as I came on with USA Mortgage. I joined a team, and they were like, you know, they're trying to figure me out, asking me questions like, "Oh, you're a veteran?" They're like, "Oh, yeah." I'm like, I was in the Army a long time, 27 years, like whatever. I did a lot of crazy stuff, but here's my passion project. And so I sent my team the video, and honestly, we should probably drop that in the chat, maybe in a little bit.
Where's that at, Danny? Where can I find it?
Yeah, that's it.
Or you can email it to me while you're chatting.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that. So anyways, the team saw the video, and one of the ladies was like, can I share this? And I'm sorry, I'm going to actually send this from my phone while I'm talking.
Oh, that's okay. It's all
and
good.
I'm like, that's fine. Like, go ahead. So apparently it somehow went through the entire company, or a good part of it. And I'm sending it to you in a text real quick. Going live right here on for the world, I guess. All right, I just sent it to you in a text.
All right. So if you want me to put this on this, you want me to put a link on?
Yeah, I don't care. Like, here's the deal. So that ends up in the president of the company's email. He watches it, I guess, was pretty emotional about it. Reached out to his, like, I don't know, I think it's the director of charity operations, for her to call me. And guess what? Now they're sponsoring, you know, like helping us try to raise money and all this stuff. And wow, I mean, thank you to everyone. Like, and Jason, honestly, thank you for doing this. I know you have a huge following.
I feel like Beer Money Pulling Team fans and tractor pulling fans, and like, I'm a big part of the Outlaw Truck and Tractor Pulling Association. Danny and I haven't told you this yet, but Kurt, the owner of the Outlaws, we do a prayer and we do a pledge, and, you know, he thanks veterans at every single truck and tractor pull. And there's a moment of silence, and it's awesome that he does that the way he does it. You know what I mean? It's just amazing. So, just amazing.
I do truly appreciate it, because I mean, I don't think that we would ever be able to get the word out to, you know, Joe America, if you want to call them that, right?
Yep.
Because you're not going to I'm not marketing like that. I mean, yeah, I do some videos for business, and sometimes I throw some horse stuff in there. But, you know, I think a big part of this thing hitting the next level is, you know, we need funds to get processes in place, improvements of the facilities, like get all the funding and whatnot covered, so that the day-to-day expenses aren't, you know, like strangling the life out of the program and the growth, so that we can hit this next level and truly get to helping. And it's not just for veterans, it's for first responders also now. So, and I think that's a huge aspect. And I hate to just, like, you know, some people like, well, yeah, but what about these people? I'm like, look, I don't know. I was a veteran. That's my sweet spot. That's my network, my community. And you know, now that I'm getting into the first responder pool, like that's just going to take a whole other level. So there you go.
I'm gonna play this if you don't mind, Danny.
So it's an 8-minute commitment. You know, we'll have to literally sit quiet for 8 minutes.
Well, I'm gonna mute you. Okay.
All right, that's fine.
I love doing therapeutic riding for disabled children, but it became obvious that there was great need for therapeutic riding to serve veterans. But Columbia University picked up on it and did research. So now we have a way to serve the veterans according to the research and the best way possible.
I'm Danny Archer. I just medically retired from the military after over 27 years service. Had a kind of a crazy career. Saw a lot of combat, got over 5 years of combat time, you know, a gazillion rotations. And then ultimately my body just hurt too much. You know, things started happening in my head, like, you know, started getting a little bit of anxiety. And it was time to be done with it.
Now, Danny was in the industry forever, and so was I. Danny had to do some really unheard of things. And that's where our story first began. It's very hard to relay a military career across the world, to be honest with you.
After an event that went down with me and Ryan, it was, you know, it was kind of like the capstone of my career, I would say. But I didn't know where he was on his mental space, but I felt like a need to like reach out to him, and I don't know, maybe a week or so before my retirement, so when I reached out to him, and I was super scared that I was gonna, you know, trigger him or something, you know, and probably 30 seconds into the conversation, we had, you know, we had our bromance started. And after that, you know, I told him about this place, and he's like, horses. I grew up on a horse farm. That's, you know, that's all I know. And I'm like, well, you should come out.
So when Danny first came on and said, hey, man, I got this place, horses, like a ranch. I'm like, whoa. He kind of showed it to me in a way that was like, hey, I didn't bring you out here to clean the stall, you know? And that was the first time that I'd ever taken the time to ever do that with horses, you know, to try to bond, to try to share and grow some things. He'll carry some of your pain for you for a little bit for the day if it's become too rough. Those horses have a way of doing that, and that's a pretty magical thing.
The first time that I noticed the power of the horses, I was feeding them, and I locked eyes with one of the horses, and it was crazy, super powerful. It's like I could feel him looking at my eyes into my soul, could see the things that I've been through, what I kind of need, and it's like he could fix it. Many of my peer group endured 20 years of going to war. And, you know, 1 to 3 times a year, I would go overseas and then come back and try to be normal, you know, much like Ryan, much like any of these other guys that have gone and fought in the darkness all around the world. I talk to them, they hear my story, and they become disarmed, and then we have this like connection, and he goes, wow, like you got help from that? Like, yeah, like I want to do that too, you know, and I'm trying to help be that beacon of like, hey man, there's a support, there's a thing out there that you can go and do, you know, like we're not there now, like, but we're gonna get there. It needs to become the place in the Southeast that guys can come and get self-help. And that's only going to come with like, you know, like funding and like fundraisers and donations and, you know, getting grants from the government or whatever it is. But there's a burden of responsibility to help take care of these guys. You know, like they deserve it. They went and they answered the call over and over and over and over, and they're struggling, whether you know it or not. And the most difficult thing that I told Peggy about is like, as I bring these guys out here, most of them aren't going to look like Ryan. Most of them are going to look like me, and they're going to walk around and they're going to joke and seem like, you know, he's a solid dude, like whatever, but you don't know the demons that he's fighting, you know, like, because he's never going to tell you about it. One of my biggest unfit conditions was my PTSD.
There's a thing there, and it fills a gap that, you know, I believe a human speaks a language of horse, and horse speaks a language of human, and they don't speak each other's language, but they understand each other. And I think that there's some real room in there to bond and grow through tragedy.
But the horses is a vehicle for that collaboration of emotion. You know, the horse is not only the thing that is giving it, but it's the draw for all of us to come. And guess what? I don't actually have to talk to you about my emotions because I'm dealing with the horse over here. But we're here for the same reason. We just don't have to talk about it. That's pretty powerful.
I used to work with an executive director that said, sure, it would be cheaper if we could do this with golf carts, but you can't. It's the horses. It's being out in this beautiful setting. And the horses are big biofeedback machines. They're calm, especially these horses. They're intuitive. I mean, it tickles me so much because Danny is this big, burly veteran. But nothing gives him more pleasure than when his 17-hand German white blood gets groomed, relaxes, puts his big head under in the curl of Danny's arm and literally falls asleep in Danny's arm. It's absolutely wonderful to see the love they have for this horse and how they bond with these horses. And the great thing is, the horse gives all of it back.
Pegasus is going to re-innovate a veterans program through a number of things. Whether you're a veteran with a disability, a physical disability, and you're trying to regrow some of that science on a horse, those are things that Peggy has offered to do for us. As a veteran like myself that isn't necessarily looking to ride in an effort to mobilize more, I just want to be a part of it.
Our goal is to build an immersion program. Research shows that with an immersion program of 6 to 10 days, the veteran has so much more success. If they're active duty and they're in an Army counseling program, 70% more of them will finish that program if they're also riding with horses and doing equine therapy. But we intend to have a lot of fun, not just therapy. We want to kind of shy away from that word. I mean, you can't help but get therapy when you're with our horses. We're just grateful for the community that supports us and the people that are coming in the future to help us build this one-of-a-kind immersion program in Savannah.
Man, nothing tells a story, Danny, like a video. Holy cow. I went from almost crying in that video to laughing my butt off when I saw you get your guns out.
You know, so what's funny is that, you know, I was super uncomfortable with the camera. And so whenever I'm uncomfortable, that's I just act a fool. Sorry. Oh.
No, I get it. No, I mean, that's what And I just seeing that with you guys when I was down visiting a couple weeks ago. Again, $10, buy a bale of hay. Like I said, Danny, I'm going to share this with all the pulling community. I'm going to share this with my real estate agents in the Midwest. I mean, for $10, if we can help you guys out, I think it's going to be awesome. And I'm going to, you know, and I'm asking everybody, you know, we're on your LinkedIn right now. We're on my Facebook, your Facebook, Beer Money Pulling Team, you know, all of our business pages. I just think it's going to be huge, Danny. And your story's real. I know you personally. We work together. It's just going to be great. And if we can help you live this dream, and then, you know, you need to do a good job of documenting it and putting it out there on social, you know, and thanking people when they come in. So, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So everybody, the links in the comments. You know, if you're watching this, you can message Danny. You can message me, and we can send you the link as well, or that little QR code right on the screen. Take it. I'm going to do $500. I'm not doing this, Danny, to be nice to you. I'm doing it because I love veterans, and I love the freedoms we have in our country. Everybody knows my pulling tractor. It's got bomber art on it because the stuff that my grandpas did in World War II and great grandpas are the freedoms we have today. And the stuff, Danny, that you did in the last 20 years are hopefully the freedoms that we have in the future. Do you know what I mean? And that's where I feel like we live in such a now society. Do you know what I mean? And war is so, I don't know. It's such a media thing. It's such a game. It's an arcade game or a video game. It's not real because, you know, there was a time when war shut down our whole country, and now it's another thing going on in another part of the country. And that's where, until I didn't get it, Danny, until I sat with you and Tim and Mike that day. And then to watch Mike, you know, struggle around and to go in but to see his fellow soldiers and then talking about them and talking about missions. I can't imagine going, and I know you guys need other stuff to do because I can't imagine going from the highest, you know, it's one thing to have stressed out. Oh, I got a meeting or I got a speeding ticket or, you know, or whatever to, oh, I was just getting shot at 2 days ago in Afghanistan. Now I'm back home. I just can't. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So wrap this thing up, Danny. We're going to end this and then we'll chat offline. So.
Okay. So I just want to say anybody that's actually powered through the 35-minute plus video, I appreciate it and I applaud you. And please just take a couple minutes and, you know, help us get this thing up and rolling. You know, the first thing with, you know, in survival is structure, water, and then food. Well, we've got structure and water set up, food, and then after that, guess what? We can start to fortify it. I'm not saying that, you know, it's on dire needs. I'm trying to do this because I would love to be able to give them a year's worth of hay. That's my goal. Yep. And you know, what a powerful thank you. And honestly, if you and your following on social media, as a professional tractor puller, which I love to call you that, and you hate it, but honestly, like people are like, what? Who's this guy? He's a professional tractor puller. Like that's a thing.
I don't know if it's professional, but
no, it is to me. I say he's apparently like the Michael Jordan of tractor pulling. I don't know, like. Fitzer named me that because of our social media following. So. Oh shoot, yeah, it's good. But anyways, no, I thank you so much for taking the time. If it ends up and we get you know, $300, I mean, still $300.
Oh, Danny, once our friends see this is going to fill it quickly. I mean, there isn't one. The tractor pulling community is they're awesome. Like we all want to win on the track, but like we are the best friends outside of, you know, once we're not competing against each other. And everybody's got $10. You know what? I'm going to share this with everybody. Again, that code's right on the bottom. I almost feel like one of those, you and I, one of those telethons that used to be on TV. It's going to be like what we're doing right now.
Long time listener, first time caller. Hello.
Danny, I love you, bro.
Love you too.
Thank you for watching. Please, everybody knows a veteran. Okay. And no, you're not going to help every veteran in the world by giving $10 to buy a bale of hay. But you're going to help a lot of people in the southeast part of the United States. And I'm telling you, Danny's crazy motivated to take this all over and help a lot of people. And next time you do talk to a veteran, and if you ask them how it's going, truly take the time to listen. Because we're all busy. I get it. But Danny's told me some stories. That's amazing. It's amazing. And I can't thank you enough, Danny, for protecting our country. and the world, even when sometimes it didn't make sense. But you, like you said, you answered the call. So thanks for watching, everybody, today. If you don't have $10, don't go buy a pack of cigarettes or skip a couple days of drinking and buy a bale of hay for a horse, and maybe some good karma will come your way. So thanks for watching. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.